The coaching industry has changed forever. And if you're still doing the same old things, then you're already losing. The reason that I know this is because I've watched coaches go from 50K months to completely broke in under 90 days because they didn't see the shift that was coming. Now, I've built 2 7-figure coaching businesses and I've helped hundreds of clients scale to freedom. And behind the scenes, I've worked with some of the biggest names in the industry. What I'm seeing right now is a complete shift. Now, most coaches think that you can just spam run ads, you can book calls, and you can just print money. But this is exactly why your lead quality sucks and you're struggling to scale. What I've discovered is this new shift is that the connection that you have with your buyers is the most important part about your business. And what I've done is I've found a way that ensures this connection turns strangers into buyers over time. The coaches who are adapting this new reality are scaling faster than ever. They're hitting those 100K months with less complexity and more freedom than before. But those ones that are stuck in the old playbook are 1 month away from losing everything, which is exactly why in the next 10 minutes, I'm going to be breaking down exactly what's changed, why most coaches are getting left behind, and the exact frameworks that you need to implement to dominate this new era, so that you can build something that's real and that lasts. Now, I need to be completely honest with you guys. The coaching industry hasn't changed because of some shiny new tactic or some guru's latest funnel hack. It's changed because the entire environment has shifted beneath our feet. And if you don't understand what's actually happening right now, then you are going to get left behind with everyone else who's wondering why their ads have stopped working. There was a window, it was a golden window where you could literally just be super average and still win. You didn't need to have a strong brand. You didn't need a unique method. You didn't even need to be good at coaching. If you could run ads, you could book calls, you could follow a script, then you could print money. Meta was so cheap. It was attention that was easy to win. Trust was high, but the window was closing super fast. And now it's actually already closed for most people. What happened was Meta got more expensive, like significantly more expensive. The cost per lead has literally tripled in some niches. Attention's got way harder to win because everyone and their dog is now running those ads. And the trust has completely collapsed. And that trust collapse, that's the thing that's killing most coaches right now because people have been burnt, they've been scammed, they've been really badly burnt. And there's a default position that the market has taken that most coaches don't even realize exists yet. What happened was that people bought these programs that were overpromised, that were undelivered. They dealt with the fake testimonials, they got pressured by closers who disappeared after the sale, they worked with coaches who vanished the moment that the payment cleared. So now when someone actually sees something online, they don't think that this could change my life. They think, what's the catch to this? That shift alone changes everything because now you're not just competing with who's the best offer or who's the best ad, you're actually competing against every bad experience that your prospect has ever had with a coach. You're fighting against the suspicion, the skepticism, and their default is just no, flat no. And if you think that you can just throw your money in Meta and solve the problem, then I've got some bad news for you. Because Meta itself has fundamentally changed how it works. Now, let me be very clear about this. Meta doesn't build businesses anymore. All it does is it amplifies what's already there. So if your offer is strong and your positioning is sharp and your content actually builds that trust and your ads can scale you. But if your foundations are weak, ads are just gonna burn your cash faster and expose every single crack in your business. The days of relying on paid traffic to do heavy lifting, they're over. Meta used to be a business building tool. Now it's a magnifying glass. It literally just shows exactly what's working and exactly what's not working, usually by draining your bank account. So if you're sitting there right now thinking, I need to fix my ads, then you're looking at the wrong problem. So you may be asking, if the old playbook is dead, what's actually working? Because I promise you, there are coaches right now, coaches in your exact niche who are scaling past 7 figures while everyone else is struggling to hit the 10K months, and they're not doing it with some secret funnel or some underground strategy. Brand matters more than ever. And I'm not talking about a logo. I'm not talking about colors or fonts or some aesthetic Instagram grid. I'm talking about actual brand, what you stand for, who you are not, the crystal clear philosophy, a clear mechanism, something that people can attach to. Because when trust is low and options are endless, people don't buy features. They buy belief. They buy the conviction. They buy someone who feels real and consistent. So think about it. When you see a coach with a strong brand, you know exactly what they're about within 30 seconds. You know their values, you know their approach, you literally know if they're for you or if they're not. Now that clarity is what cuts through the noise. The clarity is what builds trust faster than any ad ever could. But building brand isn't enough anymore. The coaches that are winning right now aren't just running funnels, they're building ecosystems. Long form content, YouTube, communities, newsletters, spaces where people can sit there, watch them for months before they ever even think about getting on a call. That used to be optional, but now it's becoming the edge. Because the reality is that when someone watches 10 hours of your YouTube content before they actually book a call, they're not a cold lead anymore. They're actually a believer. They actually trust you. They actually already know your philosophy. The sales becomes formality. You compare that to someone who clicked an ad 5 minutes ago. Who do you think is going to be easier to close? Who do you think gets better results? Who do you think stays longer and refers more people? The ecosystem approach does take way longer to build, but once it's built, it just prints money while you're building genuine relationships. Now, here's where this gets uncomfortable, because there's a conversation that we need to have about what's happening to average coaches right now. And if you're selling the same thing as everyone else, then you need to hear this. Average coaching is dying. So if you're selling that same 12-week transformation as everyone else, then you're replaceable. And replaceable coaches compete on price. The coaches who break past this are the ones who actually build a method, a framework, a philosophy, something that people can't just easily copy and create. And that's where naturally weaving in your unique mechanism comes in. For me, it was building my own method instead of selling generic fat loss. I created a system around the 6 pillars of life: physical, mental, emotional, social, spiritual, and financial. And that's not something that someone can just copy and paste. That's a philosophy. That's a worldview. That's something that people buy into, not just buy. When you have that thing, then you're not competing with every other coach in your niche. You're in a category of one. So let's talk about the thing that everyone talks about, but nobody wants to be honest about, the 100K months, because there's a massive fantasy around this number. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna strip it all back and show you what it actually takes to get to that 100K. Payoff number one, it's maths and leverage, not magic. 100 grand in 1 month is not magic. It's about maths and leverage. It's having an offer priced correctly. It's having positioning that makes sense, and it's having enough visibility. And it's about having enough trust that when someone gets on a call, they already believe in you. Now let me show you the maths behind it. If you have a 5K offer, that equals 20 clients per month, which equals the 100K per month. If you have a 10K offer, it equals 10 clients per month, which is 100K. If you have a 25K offer, it equals 4 clients per month, which is 100K. It's super simple, but here's what most people miss. The path of each of these numbers is completely different. Getting 20 clients to 5K requires a lot of volume. You need a lot of leads, you need a lot of calls, you need a lot of energy. Getting 4 clients at 25K, that requires authority. You need a lot of positioning, you need a lot of proof, and you need a premium experience. Now, most coaches are still stuck trying to do the high volume thing with the low authority, or high prices with no positioning. That's why they're stuck. And the thing that nobody wants to admit is that most coaches don't need more leads. They need something that's completely different. The thing that you do need is better positioning and a higher conversion. If your close rate is low, that's usually not a sales script issue. It's a belief issue. The prospect doesn't actually fully trust you, or they don't fully understand why you're different. And that's the brand and messaging problem. It doesn't mean you should just run more ads. That's not the problem. I see this all the time. Coaches come to me saying, I need more leads. Then I look at their numbers and they're actually getting 50 calls a month, but only closing 2 or 3. That's a 4 to 6% close rate. If we just fixed their positioning and their offer, that could close 15 to 20 of those same calls, the same 50 calls that they already have. That's a 30 to 40% close rate. Same ad spend, same effort, triple the revenue. Now, you don't need to have more leads. You just need to convert the ones that you already have. But there is one uncomfortable truth that we need to address. And this one thing is gonna sting some of you. The industry didn't get harder. It just got cleaner. It's filtering out the hype. It's forcing people to become real operators, real marketers, real coaches. And the ones that adapt to that will scale bigger than ever. The ones that are clinging onto that old meta dependent model will slowly bleed out and blame the algorithm. But the coaches that are winning right now are the ones that saw this shit coming. They built real brands, they developed real methods, they created real value. And these guys are not just surviving, they're thriving. Because when the market gets harder, the best rise to the top and the bottom drains out the rest. When trust becomes the currency, the coaches with the integrity win, always. When attention does get expensive, the ones with real value to offer, they don't have to pay for it. people will seek them. So the question isn't, has the industry changed? The question is that, are you going to change with it? Now that you understand how the coaching industry has completely shifted and why most coaches are getting left behind, understanding the changes that you need to make and actually implementing them are two completely different things. You need to see exactly why I capitalized on this change to pull in $330,000 in just 30 days. So watch the video on the screen where I break down the exact system that I used, the offers that I ran, and how to replicate this in your own coaching business. I'll see you guys on the other side.